Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Monday Memo. And today I'd like to share with you some thoughts about a conversation I had during the week. And it was to do with helping a fellow finance professional through their career and bone diagram. That diagram that helps you understand where you want to get to in your career, what your ideal finance career looks like, where you are now, and the steps you need to take to get there. And that's why we bring guest mentors on the show to help you understand what path might be appropriate one for you and the steps to take. And there's no better strategy that I'm aware of to get where you want to get to than ask someone who's already gone on that journey. So as we were trying to tackle the tricky question over what skills exactly he should be looking to develop and who he should be looking to mentor with and network with to deliver the key success factors and the key outcomes that be required in his role, I actually brought up an analogy of the helicopter pilot, the cameraman, and the drone. And it's one picture that encapsulates the importance of focusing relentlessly on delivering what value you offer in the world and that others will pay for. And on the other side, what can happen in a relatively short period of time if you don't. And the image shows the difference between 2 years, 2009 and 2019. And in 2009, you've got a cameraman hanging outside of a helicopter with his video camera reporting for some news agency of what was going on. And in 2019, you just have in the picture a drone that can do the same job. And coming back to that focus relentlessly on delivering value that others would have a willingness to pay for, I found the model lets you work quite well and work with others very well. We call it the gears model, and it's helped us stay ahead of those decade shifts, those changes that can happen very quickly, that some of us might think are outside of our control. Well, those technological changes are, but how we get ready and prepare and get ahead of those, that's within our control. So gears, it's a mnemonic for 5 key areas we can keep focus around. And in finance, we do these areas very well. So this shouldn't be too hard for us to do. Just more of a mindset thing to appreciate what each of those 5 elements are. The first one is governance. Just make sure the right things are done. For instance, the drone follows a program or has an operator behind it. Like in finance, we have control frameworks to make sure the right things are done, establishing checklists, substantive testing, and taking what we learn and putting it back into practice. So we can govern doing the right things, not just within finance, but also within our careers. Now, that said, between the drone and the helicopter pilot and the cameraman, it's probably much easier to govern a drone. So therefore, the drone has probably higher value to the operator and the organization it's delivering value for. The E, some of you might guess, is economic. That willingness to pay versus the cost to deliver. The helicopter and cameraman probably costing their own bones about $2,000 an hour. And a decent drone, based on, I know what the Irish Army paid for one there recently, one of my buddies told me, about $50,000. So assuming that there's one flight a week, then a drone pays back in half a year. Whereas you'd have that ongoing operational cost of a cameraman and a helicopter pilot, whereas a drone might be considered capex as well. So in accounting, we've had a lot of robotic process automation, a lot of investments, replacing the manual grunt of our work, so to say. We've had things like optical character recognition doing away with data entry professionals. And next to come is probably cost control and more tools allowing management to look at reports, numbers, dashboards themselves, better understand the financials themselves, giving them the advice. Even Power BI is doing that nowadays. You can put in a what if question and it gives you back a potential answer. Not saying it's any good, but saying that the frameworks are already developing, they're already out there and have been around for a couple of years already. That should encourage finance professionals from an economic perspective, not necessarily to focus on costs because that'd be very hard to win, but progressing up the value ladder, which again we've talked about on this show. So getting involved with scenario planning, full stack modeling, evolving options with business partners and stakeholders, and also deploying solutions around driving additional revenue or margin to the bottom line, ensuring sustainable cash flow. And recurring revenue models are very popular at the moment, so there's a lot of attention out there about them. So getting those skills will set you up very well, because recurring revenue does a lot of those things. It does the growth, does the customer creation, it does the sustainable cash flow. So you're not having to look for the big wins every week. As long as you keep your customers happy, the revenue will keep flowing and the cash will keep coming in. The A element of the Gears framework, again in finance, we appreciate the principle of accuracy. We pride it. The drone, for instance, you point to where you want to get to and it will do exactly what you want it to on that area. As finance professionals, we know the importance of accuracy. We also know looking not only what's there, but also what's not there. That's something the drone can't do. Probably what a helicopter pilot and cameraman can do is they can see what's going around the place. Maybe a drone can't do that. And that's where, if you can demonstrate that skill to do that, particularly when it comes to forecasting the future and delivering accurate forecasts of what might happen, a lot of companies will pay for that. But there just wasn't enough of that looking outside of what a drone can see from a cameraman and helicopter pilot perspective that organizations like the news agencies and so on would have valued. And again, if you look at the adverse reactions that bad news can have on stock prices, or missing things, or not being accurate around numbers and reporting, then you can see there's a lot of value for organizations in that particular area if you can bring additional accuracy to the table. The R element of the Gears framework is for responsiveness. The drone is super responsive to the direction of an operator. It's near instantaneous. For a cameraman and helicopter pilot, direction might take a bit longer because you're coordinating the actions of a couple of people at least. So, the one way to get ahead, not just within your careers, but also with customers, is the appearance of being responsive. And that doesn't mean being a slave to responding to every email that comes into your inbox as fast as you can. You'd be missing the point. That's not very strategic. Responsiveness is more to do with customer intimacy. It's getting out there, understanding their needs ahead of time. Imagine a camera crew whose business was getting ahead of events and reporting the news before it happened. Essentially, I think that was actually a plot in James Bond movie, come to mention it. I think Tomorrow's News Today or something like that. But knowing the needs of stakeholders and customers and getting ahead of them, companies again pay a lot of value for that. And it's not that hard to get to needs. All you got to do is start delivering what their wants are. And a lot of instances, wants meet needs, but sometimes the wants and delivering those helps build trust around responsiveness to meeting needs or wants even, and then that allows you to go and deliver what they really need. And then the final S is security. And it's a bit of an odd one probably to throw in because of that photo with the helicopter pilot, the cameraman and the drone, but information is extremely valuable. Think about the impact of the information from the cameraman's feed going to another network. At least with drone, you've got that security that it should just be you, assuming you've got the right software in the drone and it's not been hacked in any way. And in finance, we've high level of ethical standards. We're very much aware of the costs of data breaches. Again, share price movements when those have been reported in the news. In finance, we exhibit certain levels of discreteness. We like reducing cash leakage and where things aren't exactly optimized in the financials. Safeguarding assets is key for us as well. It's a fiduciary duty of the board of management, so we're there helping them do that and ensure that the agents of the principals and managers are best representing the shareholders' interests and safeguarding their assets. So we do a lot of the Gears framework already from a delivering value perspective. So as long as we keep focusing on the Gears and delivering value, it's going to be very hard for events and technology that have more cost plays at the moment to usurp the value we offer. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there's real value in sharing with others, like we do on this podcast, the experience that they might need before they actually need them. And that's why we invite guest mentors onto the show. And it just makes much more sense if you want to figure out the path to delivering value, particularly within your careers and remaining relevant to your stakeholders. Unlike the cameraman and the helicopter pilot, is to ask people who've already gone on that journey, got ahead of the game a bit. And it's not to do everything that they did, because there's some hard won lessons along the way again that they could help you avoid. It's more like that 80-20 principle, investing 20% of your time on those things that give you 80% of the impact. So look, hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, please remember to share it with your friends and colleagues. We're on all the major platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube and Spotify. And as always, really appreciate investing your time with us today. So until next time, take care of yourselves and let's keep on building our strength in the numbers.